Hello. I'm here and want to talk about existence and creation and God and all those things. And I just love pondering with this intelligence and learning more. And there's so much references and information out there to learn. And as long as you have an open mind and don't get too aggressive in your thoughts with other people, you can come back into realization what's really true in the cosmic world of this universe that we see, and other realms that may be superimposed, and in my belief are superimposed in different aspects like material, mental, and spiritual. And there's probably even other realms that we just don't think about or have knowledge or access to. But I've got this new scroll and some things I've been putting down here to kind of go back to eternity and always having a God in the center of all things of existence, to even be able to speculate and have an intelligence somehow outside of that, but also part of it inside of it as well. And so just flip this around and show you a kind of recap. I've been through a little bit of eternity with the first source and center, and the universal Father, the eternal Son, the infinite Spirit, and the Isle of Paradise, and this abode of the gods, the Trinity, those three that make one, the great I am, and their actual physical abode that is the source and center of all material gravity or cosmic gravity, and even other circuits of gravity that people probably don't think about, like mental gravity, spiritual gravity, and also there's another one that is personality. And all these lines of gravity are able to be traced, according to these authors, this Urantia book, back to the Father. So I'll kind of turn this around and show you here. Got all the universal Father and some of the eternal Son kind of mixed in there. I wrote him in kind of a pink. So he's also a mother universe kind of aspect you can think of. But different names for them, and come down here, kind of start with the Isle of Paradise, and it says here the center of the universes, an abiding place of the universal Father, the eternal Son, the infinite Spirit, and their divine coordinates, coordinate their divine coordinators and associates. The central isle is the most gigantic organized body of cosmic reality in all the master universe. Paradise is a material sphere as well as a spiritual abode. God dwells, has dwelt, and everlastingly will dwell in the same central and eternal abode. Did he move, universal pandemonium would be precipitated. For there converge in him at the residential center the universal lines of gravity from the ends of creation. And we're talking all those gravity circuits, mind, material, physical, and spiritual, as well as personality. So it's pretty awesome just contemplating this source of creation, of existence. And I got more here. Says whether we trace the personality circuit back from the universes or follow the ascending personalities as a journey inward to the Father, whether we trace the lines of material gravity to another paradise or follow the surging cycles of cosmic force, whether we trace the lines of spiritual gravity to the eternal Son or follow the inward processional of the paradise sons of God, whether we trace out the mind circuits or follow the trillions upon trillions of celestial beings who spring from the infinite Spirit. By any of these observations, or by all of them, we are led directly back to the Father's presence, to his central abode. Here is God personally, literally, and actually present, and from his infinite being there flow the flood streams of life, energy, and personality to all universes. Boom. That to me is a cosmic truth that if you can debate otherwise, then that might be just God giving you free will, and that might just be your end game then, if that's what you want to choose. But to me, there's more. You can actually be self-preserving through God and through believing in his son whom he sent. Which we get down here, Jesus not only revealed God to man, but he also made a new revelation of man to himself and to other men. In the life of Jesus, you see man at his best. Man thus becomes so beautifully real because Jesus had so much God in his life, and the realization, recognition of God is inalienable, and constitutive in all men. Those inalienable rights that Thomas Jefferson talked about in his Declaration of Independence, the preamble, what have you. That's what we're talking about. Everyone has these, and that's how it was set up in God's plan. It requires the enlightenment of reason, morality, and the urge of religion, God knowingness. That's religion, God knowingness, to generate an unselfish and altruistic order. That's what's developed over time in the planet, and it's been back and forth. It's not like it's always just one actual upgrade, but it's back and forth. But I've got these 7 master spirits and talked a little bit about them, but they make up the first part of these personalities that are co-created through these 3 paradise residents, and they also break down into a different basically overseers of the 7 super universes, and each one oversees each 7 super universe, which is part of the grand universe. Then outside that, where we point our telescope farther away from the center, we see all those billions of galaxies going on in creation. And I like to speculate that there wasn't just one central source that of creation, and it just pushed out that God can create from where he wants. And if he wants to create billions of light years away from himself, then who says he can't? When you start to limit God, you start to limit your understanding of God, and to suggest that even that a material manifestation has to come from God, but can't come from one of his actual realms outside of his central abode. I mean, you're questioning God's abilities. To me, is silly. So I don't know how it all works, and how the nether paradise has all those or that unqualified absolute realm, but manifestations of physical realm that start to materialize in galaxies or nebula or gassy clouds that you may not see, all this dark energy and dark matter that keeps it linked. But when you start saying this or that is fact, and then you're like, okay, well, let's look at what was known as fact and science said was fact how many years ago, and then now it's changed and that's no longer fact. One instance, people were many people were killed because of certain facts that end up not being true, and unfortunately, that's a lot of it's come from facts about how people believed in God, and like the Church of England, Spanish Inquisition, all those things. So it really has become hard for a certain intelligence to accept that God is good, and it's men that have distorted understanding over years, and not just men, but fallen angels have come into play. The celestial rulers have gone astray, and added to the confusion, or even there's so much to learn and so much to know and to think about. But trying to concentrate back on these different spirit realms and the source of everything, and from the start. They like to start from the inside and then get to us. But so there's 7 supreme groups, and there's the 7 master spirits, the 7 supreme executives, and the reflective spirits. And these 3 groups make up the first groups, usually classified as the children of the Paradise Trinity. The other 4, the reflective image aids, the 7 spirits of the circuit, the local universe creative spirits, which are aka universe mother spirits, Holy Spirit, and 7, the adjacent mind spirits, which are basically a level of the consciousness of the local universe creative spirits. The remaining 4 groups are brought into being by the creative acts of the infinite spirit, or by his associates of creative status. And so then I've got here, their functional domains extend from the personal presence of 7 master spirits on the periphery of the eternal isle, through the 7 paradise satellites of the spirit, the Havana circuits, the governments, of the super universes and the administration and supervision of local universes, even to the lowly services of the adjutants bestowed upon the realms of evolutionary mind on the worlds of time and space. And I've got this listed 7, and probably pause and read these. I won't go through them all, but here it shows, how they believe highly probable cannot offer definite proof of the master spirit or Vonton are so-called super universe that I believe is actual, and if you could step away from the Milky Way, you might see the actual 10 major sectors that make up the super universe. But in my mind, the farther you get away from our observations, the more distorted they become with so much movements and gravitational lensing, or whatever terms you want to cause for the phenomenon of distortion when it comes to measuring distances over vast distances, or measuring the light or information from these distances can become distorted or not quite fully understood. And again, you look back in the history, the evolution of science even, and you can tell where certain things were known as fact or believed to be a fact end up were not, and like the Ptolemy geocentric aspect of the universe, or what they thought the Earth being the center of the universe and whatnot. So anyway, I'd like to get to these 7 supreme executives, and they basically are like the master spirits maintain contact with the various divisions of the super universe governments through these supreme executives. Hi, Kitty. Pretty kitty. And they're like the managing board directors of the 7 super universes, and they also are part of the plan. And turn this back around here in a second. But so there's a whole lot more, and there's a lot to get into, and I don't have the best platform for showing all this, but I kind of like the visual aids and putting it down to where I can read it and put it in this larger format to see things at once. And I've got more written down. Can do plenty of plenty of more these videos. Okay, so precious. But the point is always to me is reflect back to God and love, and that aspect of God's love, and to not concentrate so much on trying to say to people, if you do this or that, you're gonna go to hell, or this isn't the way. And but there was a way that was exemplified by Jesus. All right, that must be a sign that it's time to go. But I love all y'all, and just remember the 2 commandments Jesus said, was to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and strength, and then inherent in that to love your neighbor like yourself, and just not that, but all God's creation. Take care of it, because it's the only thing we got, unless you know how to create out of nothingness, and whatever, however God manifests his energies into a sharing existence. It's all God's realm, even down to this illusionary part, shadowy realm that we can manifest in, and conceptualize these ideas and believe what we want because of our free will, and trying to understand things can be very difficult, and people can blame Satan or blame negative intelligence, fallen angels, and that's even if whatever the case is, you can point blame here and find a definite evil to point it to. Then what are you going to do about it? Once you point it out, find it, then what are we going to do about it? How are we going to extinguish the evil? And I think we have capabilities to help with that, and part of it is to not manifest it ourselves and to try and extinguish it with love. Like I believe Martin Luther King said, you can't beat violence with violence. You got to have something else. You can't blot out the darkness with darkness. You got to have light. So the more light we have, the more spiritual light, the more we'll see that darkness blotted out. And hopefully there will be more help from not just humanity, but from other realms of teachers are sent for us. And Jesus said he's coming back, and instead of waiting for him to come back fix everything, maybe we should start a reception for him, and a welcoming party, and make it so we can have him want to come back to this planet as and celebrate, not to have some kind of cleanup duty. I think we're capable of making it better one by one by trusting our instincts of what was given to us by God, and what's in our heart, what we know is valuable and true, which is love, all those spiritual fruits that come from godly sources. You can read them about them what you want, and you know them in your heart. And if you want to reject love and nurturing the next generation, then I think that's part of the evils, and it's hard to progress when there's a lot of this evil going on, and you can tell the difference between good laughter and evil laughter when people are laughing because of other people's suffering, or their other ignorance, or even sub par living, and whatever else. It's like, well, let's educate and enlighten, and stop being the wicked ones laughing at other people's faults and problems, and we can do good. There's so much more, and I know it's hard, and the whole thing. Jesus also said, how can you tell anyone about anything when you have this plank in your eye and they only have like a speck of sawdust in theirs? So there's that to keep in mind too. Of we're always need improvement, and what about ourselves that we can reflect on to try and become better. And I think just sometimes having a little time to sit down and meditate, and think about and reflect and concentrate our energies into a source. It's hard, sit down and think about it. Close your eyes and try to concentrate and meditate on just one like single word, just like hope, or love, or courage, or any single word that you think is an intangible word that you just can't hand someone, but it's earned. And really concentrate on that and what it means to you, and what it means to creatures out there struggling in this world, in this realm. All right, I think I've said enough, and I love getting on here and talking about existence and get off sidetracked so much. But next time I want to talk more about these different personalities of the central universe, and even those that correspond with superuniverses and local creation. So much out there, and so much information. It's your entry book, the Bible, so many references and different commentaries by scholars over the years, thousands of years that have been studying this as well, and getting their insight helps too, and their understanding can help break some of that codes, or translations that may not quite work for you, or don't reveal as much. There's always another teacher come along that can paint the picture a little easier, a little better, and to make those dots connect, and see a picture. And I'm a puzzler, and I love putting together those pictures, and figuring things out. And the existence is the ultimate puzzle. So I love you all, and really hope this reaches some of you, and get something out of it. All right, good night.